He did not arrive with banners, nor with the thunder of conquest. No, he came robed like them, spoke as they spoke, and said he fought for their freedom. But who was this man, and what truly brought him to the desert? Was it honor or deception? This is not the tale of a hero. This is the story of the Arab Revolt and the Great Betrayal. For over 400 years, the Arab world lived under the rule of the Ottoman Empire, from the sacred cities of Mecca and Medina to the historic capitals of Damascus, Baghdad, and Cairo. But as the 20th century dawned, this vast empire began to decay, fractured, fading into irrelevance. Then came 1914. The world plunged into the Great War. The Ottomans chose their side, joining the Central Powers, and Arab lands became battlegrounds in a struggle not their own. But from this darkness, a flame began to flicker. A new idea was taking shape. Arab identity had long been rooted in tribe and region. But now, a greater vision emerged. One people, one nation, one future. At the heart of this stood Sharif Hussein bin Ali. As Sharif of Mecca, he was custodian of Islam's holiest sites and a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. Though once loyal to the Ottomans, he no longer saw Istanbul as a protector of Arab destiny. He believed in an Arab future, led by Arabs. As he declared,
"We are the sons of the Arabs, and we will not accept to be ruled except by one of our own."
In secret, he reached out to the British. His offer was simple: support an Arab uprising, and in return, the Arabs would gain their independence. Between 1915 and 1916, Sharif Hussein and British High Commissioner Sir Henry McMahon exchanged letters. The message was clear: rise up, and freedom will follow. In June 1916, the first shots were fired from the holy city of Mecca. The Arab Revolt had begun. But behind this hope, another plan was already unfolding. To support the revolt, the British sent a young, unlikely officer, T.E. Lawrence. He was 28, an Oxford graduate, a scholar of history and archaeology who had spent years exploring the Middle East. Why him? Perhaps for his knowledge, his passion, or perhaps because he understood the land in ways few others did. Lawrence didn't come in uniformed arrogance. He came in Arab robes. He spoke their language, shared their hardships, and won their trust. He didn't lead, but he became the bridge between two worlds. To the Arabs, he was a brother. To the British, a valuable asset. Alongside leaders like Prince Faisal and Auda Abu Tai, they fought with speed, strategy, and spirit. They united fractured tribes under a single banner, building not a grand army, but a determined force driven by hope. They derailed trains, cut supply lines, and in July 1917 struck Aqaba from the unguarded desert flank. It was a triumph. From there, Man, Dara, and finally, Damascus. The Arab flag flew high. Freedom seemed near. But even as they celebrated, betrayal had already been written. In May 1916, months before the revolt even began, Britain and France agreed in secret to divide the region. While Arab fighters bled in the desert, two men, Mark Sykes and Sykes-Picot, drew lines on a map. It was like sharing a cake between empires. Syria and Lebanon to France, Iraq and Palestine to Britain. The dream of an Arab kingdom, wiped away before it began. When news of the Sykes-Picot Agreement broke in 1917, Arab leaders were stunned. And then came another blow. The Balfour Declaration. Britain promised a homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. A land that had been the home of Arab communities for centuries. A promise made on land they did not own, and to which others already belonged. To London and Paris, the revolt was never sacred. It was strategy. Control Iraq's oil, keep access to India, divide and weaken the region to rule it more easily. The Arabs weren't partners. They were pieces on a map. Lawrence, once full of belief, was crushed. He later wrote,
"The British government have lied to the Arabs deliberately and cold-bloodedly."
Not the words of a hero, but of a man drowning in guilt. In October 1918, Arab forces entered Damascus. Faisal declared an Arab government. But in 1920, the French invaded Syria. At Maysalun, Yusuf al-Azma and a small, poorly equipped Arab force, mostly remnants of the Ottoman army, stood their ground. Brave, but overmatched. They fell. Damascus was bombed. Faisal was exiled. But the empire wasn't done. In 1921, Britain made Faisal king of Iraq, not to honor a promise, but to maintain control. Britain claimed Iraq and Palestine under the League of Nations mandates, colonial control in disguise. Lawrence returned home, broken. In a letter he wrote,
"I loved you, so I drew these men into your service, and now I cannot face them."
In the West, he became a legend. But in the Arab world, he was the man who walked beside them and left them to empire. Revolts would follow in Iraq, Syria, and Palestine. The people had not forgotten the promises made to them and broken. The Arab Revolt began with hope. But what followed wasn't freedom. It was control. Borders were drawn by empires. Leaders were chosen to serve foreign powers. The region was divided, not to build, but to weaken. From Baghdad to Gaza, Beirut to Aleppo, conflict followed. Not by accident, but by design. Echoes of a betrayal. Even now, new deals are struck in silence. The same game continues. So we must ask, will we forget? Or will we learn? Is freedom given? Or must it be claimed? This is the legacy, not just of betrayal, but of warning. Freedom was promised. It was denied. And the fight for dignity goes on. So tell me, was the Arab Revolt doomed from the start? Or could history have been different? Let me know in the comments. If this story moved you, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe. Let the forgotten voices be heard. And let us remember, history does not fade. It echoes. This was Voices from the Past. Until next time.